was about to go on a 6 weeks vacation W/my AP until my mom and husband called me while they were. Life can be funny at times. The one who we trusted the most might be the one to betray us without thinking twice. I never expected things to go this way. I know I messed up, but I don't deserve what my mom and husband did to me. Thinking about everything now sends shivers down my spine. I don't even know where to start from, but I guess I'm going to start from the very beginning. All you righteous people out there, before you judge me, make sure you don't have a skeleton in your cupboard. Hey Reddit, my name is Taylor, not my real name though. For the sake of privacy, I will be using fake names. I'm a 30-year-old realtor. The name of my husband is Smith. He is also 30 years old and we have been married for 2 years now. My husband is a tech specialist, which makes him always busy. He is also on his computer, and even though he works from home almost all the time, we hardly spend time together. It's been like this ever since we got married. I thought it would change, but it got worse as time passed. I thought I made the right decision by marrying Smith, but honestly, I regretted my decision after the wedding when I saw how Smith was with his work. I regretted leaving my boyfriend Timothy, who was my childhood lover, for Smith. I guess I was so enticed with Smith money that I left the man I have known all my life to marry some random dude who I dated for just 6 months before marriage. I met Smith at a friend's party, we got talking, and somehow I ended up on his bed. I thought it would just be a one-time thing, but after seeing how wealthy Smith was, I made up my mind to keep him. But for some reason, Smith was not interested in having a relationship with me. He told me I should forget what happened between us that night and that it was just a fling with no strings attached. I wasn't bothered by his words at first, but when I dug into him and found out he was from a rich family, I got upset and I picked interest in marrying him. I told my mom about him, and together we came up with a plan that would make Smith mine forever. Since Smith didn't use protection that night, we decided to forge a pregnancy result, which confirmed me to be 3 months pregnant. I waited for 3 months before I showed up at Smith's house. He was shocked to see me and even got another shock when I told him I was pregnant. He didn't believe it at first, but after I showed him the pregnancy result, he was flabbergasted. I don't want to bore you guys by going into details about how everything happened. Maybe another day I will write about it, but for now, let's just concentrate on why we are here. So that's how I got married to Smith. Immediately after the marriage, I lied to him that I lost the pregnancy, and that was it. That was the beginning of my nightmares. My marriage to Smith was just formalities. He never loved me nor cared about me. He always believed that I married him for his money. I was lonely in the marriage, no intimacy, no communication, no nothing. Worst of it all was that we had separate rooms. Smith was always locked up in his room, and the only people allowed to enter his room were the domestic staff. I was just another statue in the house. The more I tried to get close to Smith, the distance he became. When I look at him, all I see is hatred that he has for me. I bet he never actually forgives himself for drinking too much that night. Even though I have some regrets for forcing Smith to marry me, a part of me is glad I married him. Getting married to Smith changed my life in an instant. I moved from a shared apartment to a luxurious mansion. Even though things didn't happen exactly how I planned, I'm grateful a part of it worked out. I thought Smith would fall in love with me after the marriage and we would live happily ever after, but that wasn't the case. Smith despises everything about me. Even when I told him I lost the pregnancy, he was indifferent about it. I don't blame him though. My mom practically blackmailed him into getting married to me with the pregnancy. After 1 year of going through torture in the name of marriage, I opened up to my mom and she advised me to go and have fun once in a while. I took her advice and started going out to clubs. Somehow I started sleeping with different men at the club. I felt bad at first, but after some time I got used to it and continued sneaking out to meet with my affair partner. Smith didn't even notice anything because he was always in his room and didn't care about me anyway. Everything was going smoothly. I was beginning to feel good about myself again, and life was beginning to make sense again. While all this was going on, I never imagined Smith was taking notes and was fully aware of my every move. Never in my wildest imagination did I imagine the Smith was watching me closely and was setting traps for me to enter. One day I called my mom and informed her that I was traveling with my affair partner for a 6-week vacation. I had earlier lied to Smith that my company was sending me on a 6-week business trip, and as usual, he just shunned me and walked away. So I told my mom about it, and she was happy that I was finally living the life I have always wanted. On that fateful day, I woke up early, excited about my new adventure. I hurriedly took my bath, packed my bags, called a taxi, and left for the airport. My flight was at 6 o'clock, but I arrived at the airport at noon. I was so excited I didn't want anything to ruin my plans, so I decided to go wait for my affair partner Nicholas at the airport. But unfortunately, nothing prepared me for the surprises that awaited me that day. While at the airport with Nicholas, I got a call from Smith. I was shocked because Smith had never called me before. I didn't even know he had my number. While I was wondering why he was calling me, he started video calling me. I moved away from Nicholas and picked up the call, and nothing prepared me for what I saw. Behold, it was my mom in the same bed with my husband, and they were both naked. I almost fainted. I couldn't even speak. I was dumbfounded, and it took me approximately 5 minutes before I could open my mouth and talk. I told Nicholas the trip had been canceled and that I needed to head back home immediately because there was an emergency. He wasn't pleased, but not that he had a choice anyway, because I'm the one that paid for everything. From tickets to accommodation, I paid in full. I called a taxi and headed home immediately. While on my way, I was praying for everything to be a dream. I mean, how did my mom get to my house? We live 1 hour away from each other, but what is she doing there in my absence? What was she doing in Smith's bed and even in his room, a room Smith barred me from entering? I had a lot of questions on my mind, but there was no one to answer them. At that moment, I wished I had superpowers that could make me disappear because I wanted to appear at my house so badly. I wanted everything to be a dream so badly, but unfortunately, it wasn't. Update. So I arrived at the house and ran upstairs to Smith's room, and disappointedly, I saw my mom and Smith sleeping like two lost puppies on the bed naked. To say I was mad was an understatement. I didn't know what to do or how to react. I don't think the pain I felt that day can ever be described. Just as I was still thinking of what to do, my shameless mom woke up and asked me why I had come back. At that moment, I would have given her a dirty slap if she wasn't my mother. The painful thing about the whole situation is that she had no remorse in her eyes. She was surprisingly calm and acted like everything was normal. Just as I was about to answer her, Smith woke up and had this evil smirk on his stupid face. I proceeded to ask him why he decided to get in bed with my mom, and nothing prepared me for what came out of his rotten mouth. He categorically told me he did everything for revenge and that this was just the beginning. I was shocked. Even my mom was shocked by this revelation. I told him I didn't understand what he was talking about, and he went on to explain further. He told me he started suspecting I wasn't pregnant during our bachelorette party when he saw me drinking alcohol. He told me he always believed something wasn't making sense, but he decided to play along. He told me how he asked the doctor to secretly conduct a pregnancy test on me when we went to the hospital to run some basic tests before the wedding. He said it dawned on him I was trying to hook him with a fake pregnancy when the pregnancy result came out negative. But at that point, he was conflicted on whether to go on with the wedding or just call everything off, but he decided to proceed with the wedding to teach me a lesson I would never forget in a hurry. I was too stunned to speak, and so was my mom. He told me he had been carefully planning his revenge all these years and was only waiting on the right time before he unleashed his venom. He also made known the fact that he had tapped my phone and always listened to my phone conversation and even read my messages. He told me when I came and told him I lost the alleged pregnancy and was shedding crocodile tears. He wanted to kick me out so bad, but decided to just be patient and plan everything through. He told me he had thought of several ways to make me pay for trying to ruin his life and even still having the guts to cheat while under his roof. So he came up with a plan to sleep with my mom to ruin both of our lives forever, so we could have a taste of what it feels like to get betrayed. He told me he listened to my phone conversation with my mom about traveling with my affair partner for a 6-week vacation, so he devised a means to invite my mom over on the day I planned to travel for a vacation. He called my mom a slut. He said he didn't even have to do much. All he did was show him some money, and boom, she jumped right into his bed. He then proceeded to call us several unprintable names. I was so ashamed I couldn't even raise my head. At that moment, I wanted the ground to open so badly that I could just disappear. How wicked can this man be? How on earth does he think it's right for one to sleep with his mother-in-law? At that moment, he finally dawned on me that I married a monster, a heartless man, and a pervert. I never in my wildest imagination Smith would stoop this low just to get revenge for something that happened 2 years ago and was long forgotten. Just as I was still processing everything, Smith started throwing my belongings out one after the other. All efforts to make him stop proved abortive. He said the reason he always made sure I had money and never lacked anything was because he wanted me to taste riches. And just when I was about to get used to it, he would send me back to where I belonged. I couldn't believe my ears. Men like Smith don't have a heart. Smith threw me and my mom out of the house, but here is the most absurd thing. The money he used to lure my mom into his bed, he took it back. I was shocked, but I was happy he took back the money. After seeing how serious Smith was, I knelt and decided to plead for mercy, but he got angry and gave me a hot slap. He also pushed me away and asked me to leave with my mom before he did something stupid. While I was gathering my things to leave with my shameless mother, Smith's lawyer arrived and asked me to sign the divorce papers. At that moment, it dawned on me that what I feared the most in this life had happened to me. I never wanted to be a divorcee like my mother. My dad divorced my mom when I was 3 months old, claiming I wasn't his child. I don't even know if I'm truly his child. I don't even know if the story is real because I've tried to reconnect with my dad on several occasions, but he always shunned me out. I hated him all my life and always blamed him for my predicament, but after seeing what my mom did, I think she is capable of many evil things. Another reason why I didn't want to get a divorce was because Smith and I signed a prenup before the wedding. I never liked the idea, but Smith was adamant about it. At that point, I made up my mind that I would never divorce him for any reason. I told the lawyer I wasn't ready to sign any divorce papers and that nothing would make me divorce Smith. At that moment, Smith brought out his phone and showed me my nude pictures. He must have gotten them from my phone. He also showed me my mom's naked pictures, which he took. He told me he would post everything online and tagged it like mother like daughter if I refused to sign the divorce papers. I got scared because posting that picture would ruin our lives forever. Even my mom fell on her knees and begged me to just divorce the lunatic. I didn't have any choice at this point, so I painfully signed the divorce papers. I gathered my stuff to leave, and shockingly, Smith took the car keys from my hands and asked to leave with only my property. I mean, the car is his, but I have been the one using it ever since we got married. Pray for me, guys. I need a miracle to happen so fast. I don't want to lose my marriage. Update. Hey, Reddit. I'm back again to continue my story. It's been months ever since I wrote my story here. First of all, I want to correct the impression that I married Smith only because of his money. A lot have called me a gold digger and all sorts of unpredictable names. But for the sake of posterity, I want to categorically state that I didn't marry Smith just because of his money. I married him because I saw a future with him. And even though my approach was wrong, my intention was never wrong. It seems most of you read with comprehension. The only reason I cheated on my husband was because my love for him wasn't reciprocated, not because I didn't love him. With that being said, let me update you guys on what has happened so far. So I signed the divorce papers and soon the divorce proceedings started. I wasn't mentally prepared for the divorce because I was still hoping for a miracle to happen, but unfortunately, that never happened. Smith made it clear he didn't want to have anything to do with me ever again. The divorce proceedings were over, and at that moment it dawned on me that I practically ruined my life. I went from living in a luxurious mansion to living with my mom at her mobile home. I couldn't even afford to live in a shared apartment. Nothing made sense to me anymore. I was a shadow of myself, and living with my shameless mom in the same house made everything worse. Waking up every day to see the face of a woman who betrayed my trust was harder than I imagined. I don't think I would ever be able to bring myself to forgive my mom for what she did to me. No mother who truly loves their child would stab them in the back like that, although she has apologized to me countless times for her despicable acts. I still can't bring myself to forget the whole incident. The whole thing keeps playing in my head over and over again. She always says it's the devil's work and doesn't even understand what came over her, but I don't believe any word from her any longer. I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of my life together because thanks to Smith, I got fired from my place of work. Somehow Smith managed to call my boss and told him he was interested in a property, and he was willing to pay up front. But on the condition that he fire me, my boss didn't even think twice about the offer as he fired me immediately. I never knew Smith was capable of such a dubious character. I can't believe I married a monster who was pretending to be an angel. It was when I got fired that it dawned on me that Smith was out to frustrate me. But I managed to get a job as a sales rep in a bakery. The job is below my standards, but at least it puts food in my mouth. That's all that matters at this point. I'm just taking one day at a time. Update. Hey, Reddy, I'm back again, so just a few months after our divorce. Smith decided to remarry. I didn't believe it at first until I saw the invitation card. One day at the bakery, a colleague of mine brought the invitation card. Everyone was interested in holding the invitation card because of how beautifully it was designed. When it was my turn, I admired and tried passing it to the next person, but something struck. The name rang a bell. I gave it a second glance, and honestly, I didn't know when I said Smith full names out. My colleagues were shocked and started asking if I knew him and where I knew him from. At that moment, I didn't know what to say, so I just came up with a dumb lie that I had read about him on the news. My colleague proceeded to tell me about how Smith and her best friend were childhood lovers, but along the line, a gold digger woman came in between them and pinned Smith down with a fake pregnancy, which caused a rift between the two lovers. She proceeded to tell everyone how Smith and the gold digger woman got married, but along the line, Smith discovered the gold digger was after his money and went back to his first love. I was shocked, hearing someone address me as a gold digger in my presence, and yet I couldn't do anything. But I was glad no one knew it was me because that job is all I have got. Everyone was happy for the couple and took turns to curse out the gold digger. I had to join them because I didn't want them to suspect anything. That day, I went back home and cried myself to sleep. My pillow was soaked with tears. I became depressed again. I didn't feel like going to work anymore, but my shameless mom would throw me out of her stupid house if I stopped working. Her love for money is literally out of this world. Soon, Smith and his sweetheart got married in an elaborate wedding ceremony. The wedding was everything I wanted that Smith refused to give to me. It was a destination wedding, packed with celebrities as guests. I never had any of that. My wedding to Smith was a low-key wedding with only my mom and his dad in attendance. His mom and siblings practically refused to attend the wedding because they never liked me. I didn't even get the dress I wanted. Everything was on budget. Smith claimed he wasn't into all the wedding ceremonies and stuff, and that all that matters is that we are married. But I was surprised to see him go extra mile for his sweetheart. Everything I told him I wanted for our wedding that he refused. He did triple for his sweetheart. The wedding was like a fairy tale, but we didn't even have a reception for our wedding. Thinking about it now infuriates me. I can't believe I let low of my standards because I wanted to be with someone that never valued me. The more I tried to forget about everything and just move on, the harder it becomes because the wedding pictures were everywhere. From television to magazine covers, everyone kept emphasizing on how beautiful the wedding was. Up till today, it's never known that Smith was once married. Only close family members and his stupid girlfriend, or should I say wife, was aware. He never allowed me to meet his friends. There were no pictures from our wedding, no proof at all. But I have decided to put Smith behind me and just move on. He belongs to my past, and that is where he shall remain. I need to move on to the next chapter of my life. I have managed to save up some money and will be leaving my shameless mother's mobile home soon to a shared apartment. At least not waking up to her face every day will make me heal faster from the pain. I'm trying to be more intentional with myself and forgive myself for the wrong choices I have made. I also tried reconnecting with my dad one more time, and honestly, I'm glad I did. Turns out he is not my real dad. Not that I'm happy about not having a dad, but I finally get closure of the fact that he didn't abandon me as my mom made me believe. He told me my mom cheated on him and pinned someone else's child on him. I was hurt at first, but after a while I gathered so much courage to go ask my shameless mom who my dad was, and she told me she honestly didn't know. Apparently she had an affair with multiple people. She gave me 3 contacts of possible people who could be my dad, but honestly I don't think I have the strength to pursue that. My relationship with my mom never got better. If for anything, it got worse. I don't think I will ever trust her again, but time, they say, is a healer of all wounds. But I doubt if I will ever get over this, but hey, never said never, right?